if Trump is elected president.
You went to the Supreme Court press conference after the conviction of Donald Trump earlier today in the courtroom. Let's bring a National Review editor-in-chief, Rich Lowry. Rich, just a couple things that Alvin Bragg talked about. He said, we have a phenomenal system. I would argue that we had a phenomenal system before today. He also talked about white-collar prosecution is core to what we do in that office. Maybe I'll just tell you that criminal prosecution doesn't appear to be what they do in Alvin Bragg's DA office. And he also said that he was proud of the professionalism and the integrity of the prosecutors that handled this case. And I want to bring up one point to you. So Michael Cohen was convicted, pled guilty to an FEC, federal elections crime. And it was allowed into evidence for the sole purpose of the credibility of Michael Cohen. It wasn't to be used to assume that Donald Trump, too, had an FEC violation. But in closing arguments, that's exactly what these prosecutors argued. And Alvin Bragg calls them professional and men with integrity. What say you?
It was a stomach-churning performance, Orwellian in all respects. Donald Trump would have been better going on a subway platform and punching someone in the head. Then he would have gotten every consideration from Alvin Bragg. Maybe would have been let go, and nothing would have come from it. The idea that this was just without fear or favor is ridiculous. They targeted Donald Trump because his last name is Trump, and he's running for president of the United States. And we still don't know what the supposed second crime is, right? What is it? We didn't know when it was indicted. We didn't know throughout the entire trial. He's been found guilty of it, and we still don't know what it is.
We have no idea. So Donald Trump and the American people don't know what the crime he was actually convicted of.
Yeah, and this is a core element of the Anglo-American system of justice. You're accused of something specific, so you know what it is, so you can fight it. He's been found guilty. We still don't know what it is.
Listening to Alvin Bragg, he went out of his way to not sound political. And he kept talking about these everyday folks who were on the jury. Not one blue-collar juror, not one.
Yeah.
Where does this go, you think, because you do a podcast with Andy McCarthy, politically from here?
Well, you know, the polling suggests it's a wash now, right? And this might be the worst moment. I just think the election is going to be about the big things. It's going to be about inflation, border, Dobbs, what have you. And this feels big right now, and it is a big deal, and I think it's a shameful day. But average voters going to vote on this in November? I don't think so. Maybe people who are already going to vote against Trump will have it in mind, but I don't think most people will.
Well, and to that point, I would assume there's going to be polling that comes out in the next 5 days to a week, and it's going to show that American voters are going to pull away from Donald Trump, I believe. But we're an eternity away from the election.
Right.
What, 158 days, 159 days away from the election? We go to the middle of July, early August. Americans forget about this hoax of a trial, and they're back to your point. They're back to inflation. They're back to, their pocketbook issues. They're back to gas prices, wars in the Middle East. That's the things that affect their lives, the open border. That's what they're going to vote on, not on these trumped-up charges against Donald Trump.
So you're right. There might be an initial tick down as people absorb this. But the big question, well, people, retrospectively right now, they think Donald Trump did a good job as president. He has like a 55% job approval rating. Is that going to go down? Is Joe Biden's job approval rating, that's 40%, is that going to go up because of this? I don't think either of those things will be true, and this race will be about the core issues rather than this.
Well, the American people view this persecution in the bigger picture and lay blame at Joe Biden's feet for what Alvin Bragg did, because he's standing up there saying, we fight white-collar crime here, but as many people have written, you should not target a former president of the United States unless it would be conduct that would be prosecuted by anyone.
Right. The proverbial shooting someone in the middle of Fifth Avenue, is a crime. As Bill Barr said, that's a meat and potatoes crime. No convoluted theories, no novel process, nothing. That's a crime. This is not, right? This was a misdemeanor that, at worst, that should have died years ago when the statute of limitations expired. And the federal prosecutors took a pass. Bragg's predecessor took a pass. Bragg himself initially took a pass and then made the political decision to go for it. And unfortunately, he succeeded.